Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey. Here. Brian Ham.
Here.
Dan Holloway.
Here.
John Kern.
Here.
Bruce Switzer. Susan Mormon. Mark Kelly.
Here, quorum being present, entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move that the agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
No public comment. We have recognitions tonight. First, we have girls swimming. Coach Baldwin. The letter in, Ryan.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, tonight I am fortunate to have the honor to recognize Andy Kryling, who received a championship in 100 freestyle at the state swim meet, as well as an all-state recognition in the 50 free. And Andy also received all-state recognition in volleyball as well, but Coach Smart was unavailable to, I'm sorry, did I freeze up on you guys?
A little bit, you're okay now.
Yeah. Okay. And Coach Smart was unable to be here in the fall to recognize Andy for that as well. So Andy is awesome. She has great leadership. She is just a phenomenal person inside and out, and a very distinguished athlete, obviously, in our community. And Andy's actually going to ASU for volleyball. So we're really excited for that.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a fantastic senior year. Incredible. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You know, you could have stayed in state. I mean, the zoo has a great swimming program.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No.
And Andy will do great wherever she goes, honestly. And she, not only is she an awesome athlete, but she's just a really great individual.
We're certainly very
Thank
proud
you, Coach.
of our school district. It's fantastic. It's great to see you in that. So I
And
really appreciate
Ashton Holloway has nothing to say but great things about you.
Very, very proud. I'm sure mom and dad are too.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Reading at the bottom.
Next, we have boys wrestling, all state. Coach Hill.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, first off, I want to take the opportunity to thank the school board. I know as Coach Baldwin probably has the same feelings that we weren't sure in March that, or all the way back in November, that this was even going to happen. A wrestling season, especially with the close contact is. So from Dr. Miller to the school board, just being on board for these three, especially to have the opportunity to compete at a state tournament, we definitely appreciate that. Tonight I get to talk about three all-state wrestlers. So we can go in alphabetical, but it also works out for weight order when we're dealing with wrestling, so that's good. So first I have Eli Ashcroft. Eli's a junior and just finished up his third state title for the Kearney Bulldogs, so that is no small feat. He's also carrying a 3.9 GPA, so that's making him a three-time academic all-state athlete as well. And then this year he eclipsed over 100 varsity wins as a junior, which is a big deal. So I think he's on track for in the 120s, and that's a huge accomplishment for somebody. He's obviously been winning state as a freshman. He's been varsity since day one, so he's had lots of opportunities, but no easy feat. Next, I have senior Garrett Deason. Garrett finished as a 4-time state medalist, took 4th place this year at 145, which was probably the toughest weight bracket at the state tournament this year. And at no point was he going to let that affect him. He got to compete for Team Missouri last night in the Missouri versus Kansas All-Star Duel. So he got to represent Kearney in that, and Team Missouri pulled away a 28-27 last-minute win. So that was pretty great to see. And he eclipsed just right at his 150th win this year. So, finishing senior year as a 4-time state medalist, he's going to have the opportunity to go compete at the newly formed William Jewell wrestling program next year. So new Division II program for both boys and girls. So Garrett and Lexi, who wasn't able to be here tonight, will, I think, have the opportunity to next month. Coach Ward will be able to come talk about her, but both of them will be attending William Jewell next year. And then lastly, I have senior Ben Locke. Ben finished the season in 5th place. I think from freshman year to senior year, Ben's taken the biggest strides from being the only guy in this group to start freshman year as a JV wrestler to senior year being one of the toughest guys in our room, finishing as a 2-time state medalist, 3-time state qualifier. And he just finished that COVID did affect him a little bit with 99 wins for his career. So just missed that 100 win mark, but super proud of what all three of these guys accomplished. And as you can tell, as they're all giving each other thumbs up and smiling, nodding, they're all close and a good group of guys. So we got to spend an extra essentially 6 weeks together this season that didn't exist in previous seasons, just with them extended the season. So I think we got, even closer as a group. So watching 2 of these guys go is sad, but getting to see Eli compete for one more season for us is going to be enjoyable to do. So.
Congratulations.
Thank
Super
you.
proud of you guys. I know this is a tough year for everybody with COVID in and out and what you're going to do. Eli, just incredible. That's very remarkable. So congratulations to you and the team for all the hard work you've done. We appreciate everything you do for the district. You've represented us very well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys have anything you want to tell us about the season? What your thoughts were?
Unmute him.
Yeah, it was just good to have a season at all. Just blessed that we were even able to compete in the state tournament. Just a good experience this year.
Appreciate your thoughts. Anybody else? Garrett, Ben? Let everybody talk at once. It's your last time.
These guys talk a lot. You'd never know it by this Zoom meeting. So.
Yeah, it was just a good season. Glad to finish out my senior year. Maybe not exactly how I wanted it to, but like Coach said, it was a tough bracket. I think there's 2 Division I commits in it, so that just shows you how tough it was. The competition was in that bracket. Grateful for guys like Ben and Eli, and even guys outside of that aren't on this call that have helped me throughout my career, whether they were a senior this year or last year or the year before even. So our freshman year when we won it, that was the last championship championship that Kearney's brought back, if I am right about that. But yeah, just thankful for the group that I've been surrounded by and excited for the next chapter, as so they call it. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with Garrett. I mean, it was a really good year. I sadly had COVID earlier on in the year, so I missed a couple weeks of wrestling and could have got my 100 win. But I definitely the best year by far. Really bonded with the team. It was the most fun year I've had. So, but I think these guys will do good in college.
I also would like to throw in there that we aren't just successful on the wrestling mat. We like to squat up in the Fortnite community and catch some wins in that category. So Coach Hill knows what we're talking about.
Feel free to mute him anytime.
That's my final.
Feel free to mute him anytime. Like I said,
Appreciate
good
you guys.
group of guys, and thanks for having us on tonight.
All right, thank you. Congrats.
Entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
Move that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Jeff, I know we made that change on the contract. You knew what that was about on the property, our property author or dogwood. On the land lease.
Oh, okay.
I knew we took care of it. So,
Okay.
You got the legal name.
yeah, like I said, I think of that. So, it's good enough. There's also financials, I assume.
Referring to the fund balance report, Dusty Davis says that we should get full funding of the formula by June. So it would increase our operating balance of 22.7%.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you very much. From school operations.
Yeah, so, we have several updates to provide to the board this evening. You may have heard or even participated in our vaccination clinic last week. Mr. Morrison did a phenomenal job with Mr. Schwarzenbach and Mrs. Kopp and many others and carrying that off. And I was going to share a little bit about our efforts there and what's to come.
So last year at this time, I was reporting to you that we had buses delivering lunches to students. And who would have thought a year later, I'm telling you about a vaccination clinic that we ran for our staff. So as we kind of look at this year of how much our individuals and our employees have given and how much support our community has provided, we definitely need to pat ourselves on the back, school board being included in this. So we had a vaccination clinic this past Monday to kick off the spring break. I think a great celebration is the first day that our educators in Tier 3 could get vaccinated. We were able to set that up. And that's a tribute to Summers Pharmacy that started talking with us in January about partnership of getting our staff vaccinated and continuing. Jeannie Morrell, the pharmacist there, deserves a lot of credit that she continued in communication weekly with me and Karen Hatfield that updated us. And when we think things almost were like dire, like this is not going to happen, and she kept pushing, and we're very appreciative of that partnership. With this, we had roughly over 300 staff vaccinated, not only in our clinic, as we combine our clinic last week, and then those individuals that sought individual appointments at Summers Pharmacy. The staff were allowed to select whether they received the Moderna, the 2-dose vaccine, or Johnson & Johnson. This is a huge community effort. We had Kearney Fire Department that helped. They vaccinated on the Johnson & Johnson site. They also watched and monitored as our staff members and people that were also in the community were vaccinated, and watched and monitored them in our gym. We had our own nurses that were vaccinating on the Moderna side. So that is a huge help for us. And we also had community members in here. Kelly Hoffman was helping the other day. So it was an all around great effort. It was one of those days where you're proud to be a Bulldog and just showing what we can put together. So we'll look later in April that we'll have a date, and we'll announce it out to the staff so that those who need their second dose of Moderna will get that at that time. We'll do a virtual day that we will communicate that out to our staff, and then also our parents as well. So great pride in the community that day. So can't thank enough that Ryan Blankenship and Jennifer Kopp and Dave Schwartzenbach and Karen Hatfield are teaming up and making this successful. So you can't have success without a team. And that was the ideal thing that came there was teamwork to get that first half. So very appreciative of everybody's efforts there.
It's very huge. We appreciate all the hard work that went into that for everybody.
So meanwhile, we're also preparing to transition to full capacity at the secondary level the 29th, which is Monday coming up. And just like the exceptional was occurring with our vaccination clinic over spring break, that's also happening right now in our secondary schools. As although, I mean, you think about what we've gone through is the beginning of school when we're looking at a hybrid setup, we have our entire instructional staff thinking about how to approach teaching and learning in a wholly different way than ever before. And that's a tremendous lift, not just teaching and learning, but just the way we conduct ourselves in schools surrounding health and safety. So that happened. We've been going along with that and learning so much throughout the school year about how to better reach students or reach them in different ways. And we're so excited to have our secondary students back 5 days a week, starting the 29th. So that's a huge amount of excitement. And also, we are making that transition back, and it requires taking things that we've learned during hybrid learning and applying those to what it's going to look like when we're in person, which is where we believe that we best relate to and reach and support students in their learning in so many other ways. So this shift has been another massive effort that our staff has gone through. It's required much communication, thinking, planning, collaboration, and once again they're showing they're up for the challenge, and we are really excited to be back in at full capacity on the 29th. So much appreciation for our teams as we work to make that happen. Also going on in the district, last night, we had our first workshop with our long-range facility planning teams. It's two different groups right now of around 25 people in each group. Currently, we have the groups meeting separately. Later in the process, those groups will combine. We have a group representing our staff and a group representing parents and community. And so first workshop was an overview session about the process. We did a little bit of initial priorities for planning. And but a great process has kicked off as we think not only about where our facilities are and where we want them to be in the future, but also our programming and our dreams and aspirations for students and student learning in our district. So that's something that's exciting that has just kicked off recently. We also continue to work through our lens expansion project. We have looked at student selection in lens a little bit differently. So it's much the same as that our lens selection in grades 3 through 5, the student population will mirror closely what our district demographics are. So, and by demographics, we'll have about the same percentage of boys and girls versus the rest of the district, about the same percentage of ethnicity makeup, of different achievement levels and learning classifications. So those it will closely match and reflect our district population as a whole. What's a little bit different this year is we're also looking at where enrollment numbers are not quite even at the grades. Next year's third, fourth, and fifth graders. So if we have a smaller grade level of one particular school, where if we selected more students out of that grade level, we could end up with consistent class sizes across the entire district at that grade level. And we've tried to target that from an efficiency standpoint and help us better utilize our district financial resources. And so that's something that has been going on. Dr. Parks has been very active in working with Mr. Blankenship, who is always very popular in our district and helps in so many things. But in selecting those students and reaching out, making lots and lots of phone calls. And at this point, we are at the 85% mark for having the number of students actively commit at that point. So we're only about 15 students remaining, and we haven't really gotten very deep in the waiting list yet. So we're very confident that we're going to achieve the student selection that's needed to not only mirror those demographics, but also help us answer some efficiency issues. And also, you might remember that we started talking about LINS expansion because of some facility capacity issues, particularly this year at Dogwood. And so this also will help vacate 2 classrooms spaces from classroom instruction and allow our support staff that are currently working in, the first grade pod there or some other places that aren't ideal for teaching and learning. They'll be able to locate inside of a classroom setting for more privacy and a better learning environment. So LINS expansion, it's great for more students to be a part of that program. And also it's going to be great for all of the schools in our district because it'll help us with spacing and with learning environments across the district. So that's something else that's happening in our district that's really exciting.
I would encourage on the long-range planning facility meetings, I encourage all board members that can to be there, to be able to hear, observe, and see what's going on with that. I wouldn't say it's like sausage being made, but it's a little bit of that. You still get to see it and hear the ideas and what folks are thinking about. And we're looking to our next bond. So if you can, so far at the beginning, the meetings, whether it's for faculty or for the community participants, they're mirroring each other. It's the same meeting, at least in theory, both your ideas from one to the other, but the presentation for DLR is going to be the same for these first 3 meetings. We have those next 2 set next week, so actually for all.
We have the dates for those?
Yeah, we have those. So we can make sure that we give them a Friday update. And the next one is April 13th.
That's correct.
April 13th. On there, we'll make sure that everybody knows about it if you can. We greatly appreciate it. I think it's good for everybody to see the interest of also in the process. That's all for school operation. Next is approval of the discipline guide. Questions?
We can send you along.
She's gonna. Okay.
I hope that you've all taken the time to look at the updates for the district discipline guide. I want to point out that to me, the guide really hasn't been tested this year, and that's great. We haven't had very many discipline cases this year. Everybody is pretty much tuned in to just trying to do their work. when they are at school and everybody's on target. I will tell you that the changes that have been made to promote more flexibility for administrators. In other words, for say disrespect to peer, grades K through 5 added up to 1 day in school suspension, LLP, and LLP for first offense, second, so forth. That gives it more flexibility in looking at each of the cases through investigation, trying to see if it's an opportunity for a more teachable moment instead of just giving some kind of discipline at that time. It might be a chance for them to find out why. Look at how we can do this better. How can we learn from this? So I guess I will ask at this point, do you have any questions over any of these things?
Move to approve.
Hold on. Before we do that, and I'm gonna make sure Ms. O'Brien, I think everybody knows that Ms. O'Brien is retired after years of service for that.
16 years total at Kearney. Never thought, I'm a savage. I was a Savannah savage. I graduated from Savannah, and you all were always in our district or in our sectionals. My girls were athletes and scholars. And so when I found out that I was coming here, I mean, it was really tough because I've always been, you know, savage. But I'm a good one.
You dressed well for it. You might be able to cross both ways. Goal, but I just want to say thank you for
Just to
all of
stand
you.
for
Yes, and applaud you for that.
And thank you.
I did talk to Cindy on the basketball game. I told her that she could pull back from retirement. She didn't have to do this. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Move to approve the 2021-2022 discipline guidance presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of the calendar. Jeff, if you want to give anything in particular you want to tell about things we should be mindful of?
Really only thing is our committee did a nice job. This is a delay. Normally we have this to the board in January, just with the uncertainty this year. But as you can see, we made a few tweaks this year in our parent-teacher conferences that we'll have back-to-back nights. But this is to allow our parents to have more time with their teachers and also for our teachers to have enough time for our parents. And I appreciate that about the staff willing to give that time in the first quarter. And just that the staff decided they want to start on Monday, they like to start on a Tuesday. And one thing to always take a note that it does seem like first semester and second semester have a difference in balance in days. But one thing to take note in second semester, we do about 10 days of assessment. And so when you look at from instruction on both semesters, they do balance out from that standpoint. But we've kind of taken one less student contact day, 170, normally been 174, but we're 173, we added a professional day in there. But you can still say that we're in the requirement for the hours in that.
How's the conversion to hours gone for you? Has that been a big change? I know this COVID year was supposed to be year one, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're actually getting implemented. Has it been a little different to look at, Jeff, or?
But that's where we appreciate Tammy Thomas because she's on it. And when we look at the calendar, we want to make sure, especially with the tweaks that we made this year, And she will keep a note. Jeff, if you're looking at an inclement weather day, you only have this much to give. So look through that carefully. And so we appreciate Tammy, that she's always on top of that in reviewing that. So that's a kudos to Tammy. She does a lot of work behind the scenes that she doesn't get thanked for. So we will see her, thank her. Appreciate your time and your committee's work and putting this together. Entertain motion.
Move to approve the Kearney School District 2021, 2022 academic calendar as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Next is board member comments.
Can I make one? I mean, so
We can
we're
make
starting
two.
school, we're going back to school 5 days a week
That's
next
right.
week. Start of the year, we asked teachers to make sacrifices to hybrid. And they did it, and they wore themselves out. Now we're going back to school 5 days a week, and it's another change for them. I'm proud to be a Bulldog, but I'm more proud of my teachers that I get to be up here. It's been a tough year, and they just keep taking swings. So proud of my staff, proud of our staff, I'm proud of our administration for working really hard. And we're going back next week. Let's get those 9 weeks and have some fun for our kids. And I'm really appreciative of our teachers.
I just want to concur with John said, and like Jeff said, it's 365 there from lunches last year. So even Brian jumping on the vaccines, everybody being up in the vaccines, which is obviously dear to me, being in healthcare and stuff like that. So yeah, I just think it's incredible. Everything went above and beyond. I think I've said this before, but I think you guys are my hero. Yeah. So thank you guys all.
Yeah, I just add to what John and Dan said. Thank you to all of our staff that have worked hard to make it through the year to this point and now another transition. But obviously, we think that's best for our students, and that's what we're going to do. I know the staff will do everything they can to make the next 9 weeks successful, and I applaud them, thank them for that. Next, we have important dates. March 29th, secondary school resumes full time. April 5th, school is in session as a makeup day. April 14th, our next board meeting. April 16th is a virtual school day. Second staff vaccination clinic, and May 16th, graduation. Speaking of, we talked about graduation. Are we shooting for a football field graduation again this year?
The current plan for graduation is close to finalized, but it's looking like we're gonna have a field house graduation and allow 4 tickets per graduate. However, we're looking at how we might be able to increase participation in the graduation ceremony. So that's where they are. There's been a committee that's been meeting at KHS, and they've also met with the student group and still getting some feedback on and making final plans. So that's the update of where they are right now.
You didn't attend graduation in our field house, did you?
No, I have not.
Sardines were less packed in than our field house. Just to bear that in mind in our pandemic as we're talking about a graduation in our field house. And I certainly have lots of, it's not the first time I've commented about it. Probably not the last time I've commented about it. If it's in the field house again, as opposed to on our football field. I certainly would think that would be the direction people are going to be more comfortable in attending in an outdoor meeting setting, even if we've had vaccinations. I think it should be something different, very strong.
And just thinking back, healthcare was, did we do a feedback survey last year in regard to the being in either place? Or was just
Having a child who went through it,
yeah, no, I understand. I thought it was great, but of course Lana said at the beginning of the year.
I think the only challenge with outdoor graduations is the weather.
Yeah.
And how do you account for if you have bad weather, especially in the spring, like our graduation during the summer was hot. But you have less likelihood of rain
Right.
than you might in mid-May. So I think that's something that's a bit of a challenge, is to try to accommodate potential bad weather.
So then you just do two different types of tickets. Field house tickets and footballs and the outdoor complex.
That's what we did with mine. I know it's been a couple of years since I graduated. I got a few more graders.
Yeah.
We were set for the football field and moved to the gymnasium. It was a lot easier with 120 kids.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's still doable. It's still doable
still something, I mean,
To consider.
to consider.
yeah, to consider.
Especially after these jump there.
Sorry to digress. Did want to miss.
We would have been very surprised.
Entertained motion.
Action for a closed session to immediately precede the regular meeting in April, including any record or vote to discuss items and issues allowable under section 610-021, known as Missouri Sunshine Law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey. Yes. Brian Ham.
Yes.
Dan Holloway.
Yes.
John Kern.
Yes.
Bruce Switzer. Susan Warman. Mark Kelly.
Yes.